So, my fiancée went out for a girls' night, and wouldn't you know it, she accidentally butt-dialed me. Only problem was, she didn't realize it. And what I heard over the next 10 minutes? Well, let's just say it wasn't pretty. She was tearing into me to another guy, trashing everything about my proposal and our life together. I didn't interrupt. Instead, I texted her friend Lisa, who was with her, and asked her to put the phone on speaker so I could hear even better. The silence that followed? Oh man, that was something else. It was like dropping a bomb in the middle of their little party. When Rachel got home later that night, there was a packed suitcase waiting for her on the porch. There's this kind of silence that hits harder than any noise ever could. I learned that lesson real quick. It's the kind of quiet that settles in when you realize the future you've been dreaming about is built on lies. Right now, I'm sitting in my workshop, surrounded by sawdust and the smell of wood stain. Usually, that calms me down, but not tonight. My phone's sitting dark and silent on the workbench in front of me. An hour ago, it was broadcasting live audio of my own personal takedown courtesy of the woman I asked to marry me. I'm a luthier. That means I build and repair guitars. It's not flashy work, and it sure as hell doesn't make me rich, but I love it. It's patient, thoughtful stuff, and I take pride in what I do. Rachel, she's 30, and I'm 32, and I had been together for 4 years. Or at least, I thought we were happy. Last month, after months of planning and saving, I proposed. I did it at the local botanical gardens, in this beautiful gazebo surrounded by flowers. It wasn't some grand gesture with fireworks or anything, but it was meaningful. The ring? Not some big diamond from a chain store. Nope. I spent months searching for the perfect stone, a moss agate with these intricate green filaments inside, like a tiny trapped forest. I designed the setting myself and had a buddy of mine, a master goldsmith, bring it to life. It was personal. Thoughtful. Us, or so I thought. She said yes. She cried. Posted 100 pictures of the ring online, calling it so unique and so me. Our families were thrilled. We started planning the wedding, and everything seemed perfect. But then, little things started bugging me. Like how she kept talking about Brad, Lisa's husband. He's one of those finance guys, loud, flashy, always bragging about his stock portfolio and his new BMW. Not a bad guy, really, just a lot. And Rachel couldn't stop talking about him. About the trips he and Lisa took, the fancy restaurants they went to, how driven he was. Then last week, she was looking at a wedding venue online, one Brad had recommended. Ridiculously expensive. I gently told her it was way out of our budget. You should have seen the look on her face, frustration mixed with pity. Brad would make it work for Lisa, she muttered. Just a throwaway comment, but it hit me like a punch to the gut. Fast forward to tonight. Girls' night, right? Around 10 p.m., my phone rings. It's Rachel. I pick up, thinking she's probably tipsy and heading home. But instead, all I hear is muffled bar noise, music, chatter, glasses clinking. She butt-dialed me. I'm about to hang up when I hear her voice clear as day. I just had to smile and pretend it was the most magical moment of my life, she says. Blood ran cold. Another voice, Lisa's, chimes in with fake sympathy. He didn't. And then Rachel, laughing, oh, he did. A gazebo, like some fairy tale for poor people. And the ring, Lisa, God, it's a rock with stuff growing in it. He probably dug it out of the backyard. That laughter, it cut deep. Then Brad's voice joins in. So much for a girls' night, huh? Come on, be nice, he says, but he's laughing too. The guy builds wooden boxes for a living. What did you expect? A Tiffany setting? Rachel jumps back in. I expected something that didn't look like it came from a hippie craft fair. How am I supposed to show this off? It's embarrassing. Brad, your proposal to Lisa was iconic. Private suite at the hotel, champagne, Cartier. That's a real proposal. This was just sweet and pathetic. I sat there frozen, listening to the woman I loved tear apart everything I stood for, all to impress some guy. She wasn't just venting, she was performing. Trying to prove to Brad that she deserved his kind of life, not mine. For 10 minutes, I listened as she mocked my job, my house, my car, my whole damn life. Every word felt like a knife twisting in deeper. But the anger I felt wasn't hot or loud. No, it was cold and quiet, the kind of anger that comes from knowing you can't fix something broken by smashing it. You gotta take it apart piece by piece. I didn't hang up. Didn't interrupt. Instead, I grabbed my phone, found Lisa's number, and sent her a text. Hey Lisa, Rachel but dialed me. I can hear everything. Do me a favor and put her on speakerphone for me. Hit send, then held the phone to my ear and listened. What happened next? Surreal doesn't even cover it. The laughter stopped dead. There was this sharp gasp, then fumbling noises as someone grabbed the phone. Lisa's panicked whisper came through, Rachel, shut up. Just shut up. What? Why? Rachel snapped, annoyed. Then Lisa, shaky and distant, he's on the phone. He's been on the phone. He just texted me. He said he can hear everything. The silence that followed was golden. Absolute. The background noise of the bar was still there, the music playing, glasses clinking, but their table went completely quiet. After about 15 seconds of this glorious, perfect silence, the call ended. They hung up on me. I sat there in my workshop for a long time. The anger burned away, leaving behind a cold, hard certainty. The woman I had proposed to didn't exist. She was a character Rachel was playing for me. The real Rachel was the one I'd heard on the phone, the one who saw my life, my work, and my love as pathetic and embarrassing. But here's the thing. This wasn't the first time I'd been through something like this. Years ago, I was married to someone else. Her name was Claire. We were together for 6 years before I found out she'd been cheating on me with her boss. At first, I tried to fight for us. I thought maybe we could fix it, move past it. But the truth was, she never respected me, not really. She stayed with me because it was convenient, but her heart wasn't in it. When I finally walked away, it hurt like hell, but it also taught me something important: love without respect is just decoration. And I wasn't about to settle for that again. So, I didn't text Rachel. I didn't call her. I just got to work. I went into the house and found a suitcase. I walked into our bedroom and began to pack. I was methodical. I packed her clothes, the ones I bought her for her birthday last year. I packed the expensive face creams she loved, the ones she always complained were running out. I packed the shoes she'd worn on our first real date. I packed the framed photo of us from the night I proposed, the one where she was smiling, a perfect, beautiful lie. I didn't pack everything, just enough for a few days. A clear message. I zipped up the suitcase, carried it downstairs, and placed it on the front porch, right under the light. Then I went back inside and found the ring box. I opened it and looked at the moss agate ring. It was still beautiful. It wasn't the ring that was the problem. I closed the box and put it on the kitchen table next to her car keys. I spent the rest of the night in my workshop, sanding down a piece of maple for a new guitar body. The steady, repetitive work was a comfort. I didn't know when she'd be home, but I knew what would be waiting for her when she got there. Rachel came home around 2 a.m. I heard her Uber pull away and watched from my workshop window as she walked up the path. She saw the suitcase on the porch. She stopped dead in her tracks. She stood there for a full minute, just staring at it. A dark silhouette under the porch light. She didn't try to come in. Her tea was on the table, but she must have known. Instead, my phone started buzzing. A storm of texts. What is this? Why is my stuff on the porch? This isn't funny, Mark. Let me in. Are you seriously doing this because of a stupid phone call? I was just venting. I didn't reply. Then came the phone calls. I let them go to voicemail. I have a whole collection of them now. They start angry, then shift to panicked, then to tearful. By morning, Lisa called me. Her voice was cautious. Mark, Rachel is a mess. She's at my place. I think you're really overreacting here. People say stupid things when they're drinking. Was Brad drinking when he called me a lumberjack who builds wooden boxes? I asked quietly. Silence. Was Rachel drinking when she said my proposal was for poor people? Was she drinking when she called the ring I designed for her pathetic? Because it didn't sound like venting, Lisa. It sounded like her real voice, the one she uses when I'm not around. She loves you, Lisa insisted, but her voice lacked conviction. No, she doesn't, I said. She loves the idea of being engaged. She loves the idea of a wedding, but she doesn't respect me. And love without respect is just decoration. You were there. You heard her. You tell me, Lisa. If you heard Brad talking about you like that, what would you do? She didn't have an answer. I told her that Rachel could arrange a time to come get the rest of her things, but that she wasn't to come alone. She chose to come with Brad. A bold move. They showed up on Saturday afternoon. Brad, trying to project an air of authority, started with, "Look, man. I think we all just got off on the wrong foot." I cut him off. "You and I are not on any foot. Brad, you are here to help her move boxes. That's it. Don't speak to me." He was taken aback, but he shut up. I stood in the doorway while they made trip after trip, loading her life into the back of his BMW. Rachel tried to talk to me, tried to cry, tried to apologize. I just stood there, silent, shaking my head. As they were loading the last box, she turned to me. Her face streaked with tears. "It was just one night. You're throwing away 4 years over one stupid night." "No, Rachel," I said, and my voice was calm and final. "I'm throwing away one night of lies to save myself from a lifetime of them." I paused, letting the words sink in. That phone call was a gift. It let me see the truth. You don't want me. You want to be Lisa. You want his life, not ours. I pointed at Brad. Go be with the man you respect. This house is for someone who respects the man who built it. I closed the door, leaving them standing on my lawn. It was finally, truly quiet. It's been 6 months since that night. The silence that started then has become a peaceful new normal. The fallout was predictable. Rachel and Brad aren't together. Of course not. That was never the point. She wasn't in love with him. She was in love with his status. And Brad, as it turns out, is very much in love with his wife and the comfortable life she helps provide. Lisa, the friend who put her on speakerphone, apparently felt so guilty and caught in the middle that she distanced herself from Rachel. The friend group fractured. Rachel, from what I've heard through the grapevine, is living in a small apartment across town. She tried to spin a story about me being a controlling, jealous monster, but it didn't stick. Too many people knew about the girls' night that included Brad. Too many people had heard her complain about my job and my life. The truth had too many witnesses. I took the moss agate ring back to my goldsmith friend. I told him the story. He took the stone out of its setting, melted down the gold, and we redesigned it. It's a simple, elegant signet ring now, with a tiny detailed engraving of a guitar on its face. It's just for me. A reminder that the value of something isn't in its price tag, but in the honesty of its craft. Last month, a woman came into my shop. She had an old battered acoustic guitar that had belonged to her grandfather. She wanted to see if it could be restored. We spent an hour talking about the wood, the sound, the history. She didn't ask me what I did for a living. She was watching me do it. She didn't care what kind of car I drove. She just loved the passion I had for my work. Her name is Sarah. We've been out a few times. It's slow. It's quiet. And it's honest. The butt dial wasn't a curse. It was a gift. It was a backstage pass to the real show. Rachel was right. She was performing. She just didn't realize the person she was trying to fool was herself. I didn't need to yell or scream or get revenge in some grand way. All I had to do was listen. And then I just had to make sure she knew I was listening. The silence did the rest. The workshop has always been my sanctuary. Surrounded by tools and wood, I find clarity in creation. Each guitar tells a story, its grain, its knots, its imperfections, all part of what makes it unique. In many ways, I feel like one of those guitars, shaped by time, sanded down by experience, and stronger for having endured the rough patches. Sarah visited again this week. She brought her grandfather's guitar back, freshly strung and ready to play. When she walked into the shop, there was no fanfare, no pretense, just a quiet confidence that felt refreshing. She handed me the instrument with a smile. "I wanted to see how it sounded," she said simply. We sat together on stools in the corner of the workshop, sunlight streaming through the windows, dust motes floating lazily in the air. I played a few chords, testing the sound. The notes rang out clear and warm, carrying echoes of decades past. Sarah closed her eyes as I played, listening intently. When I finished, she opened them slowly, meeting my gaze. "It's perfect," she said softly. "Thank you." There's something about Sarah that feels different. She doesn't try to fill silences with unnecessary chatter or judge me based on superficial things. Instead, she asks thoughtful questions, not about my job or my income, but about why I chose luthier, what inspires me, and how I learned to build such intricate instruments. It's rare to meet someone who sees value beyond material wealth, and it's even rarer to feel truly seen. In the months since Rachel left, I've had plenty of time to reflect. Losing her wasn't easy, but losing the illusion of her was freeing. For years, I thought love meant compromise, bending yourself to fit another person's expectations. But now I understand that real love is about alignment. Two people walking side by side, respecting each other's paths instead of trying to steer them onto a different road. I've also come to terms with the anger I felt that night. At first, it burned hot, consuming everything in its path. But over time, it cooled into resolve. I realized that Rachel's words weren't just an attack on me, they were a reflection of her own insecurities. She didn't respect my life because she didn't respect herself. And while that realization didn't excuse her behavior, it helped me forgive her. Forgiveness isn't about letting someone off the hook, it's about releasing yourself from the weight of their actions. Still, some days are harder than others. Last week, I ran into Brad at the grocery store. He was pushing a cart filled with organic produce and expensive wine, his phone glued to his ear as he talked loudly about stock options. We locked eyes briefly, and I could tell he recognized me. His voice faltered mid-sentence, and he quickly turned away, pretending to be engrossed in choosing between two brands of hummus. I almost laughed, it was petty, but satisfying. Later that evening, I told Sarah about the encounter. She raised an eyebrow. "Do you miss her?" she asked bluntly. "No," I replied without hesitation. "But sometimes I miss the idea of her. The fantasy we built together. That took time to let go of." She nodded, understanding. "And now?" "Now I'm building something new," I said, gesturing to the half-finished guitar on my workbench. "Something real." Last weekend, Sarah invited me to dinner at her place. It wasn't fancy, just homemade pasta and a bottle of red wine, but it felt intimate in a way I hadn't experienced in years. As we ate, she shared stories about her family, her childhood, and her dreams for the future. There was no pressure, no expectation. Just two people sharing pieces of themselves. After dinner, we sat outside under the stars. The night was cool, and crickets chirped in the distance. Sarah leaned back in her chair, looking up at the sky. "You know," she said after a moment, "I used to think relationships were supposed to be dramatic. Full of grand gestures and sweeping declarations. But lately, I've realized that the best ones are quiet. Steady. Like the music you make. Not loud, but meaningful." Her words resonated deeply. For so long, I'd equated passion with intensity, love with fireworks. But Sarah reminded me that true connection doesn't need to shout to be heard. Sometimes, it whispers. Life moves forward, one day at a time. My workshop is still my haven, but now it feels less lonely. Sarah stops by often, bringing coffee or snacks, eager to learn more about my craft. She's taken an interest in woodworking herself, and though her skills are rudimentary, her enthusiasm is contagious. Together, we're building something, not just guitars, but a partnership rooted in mutual respect and shared values. Rachel occasionally crosses my mind, but not with bitterness anymore. I hope she finds happiness, even if it's not with Brad or anyone else from her old circle. Everyone deserves a chance to grow, to shed the masks they wear and become their authentic selves. Maybe someday she'll realize that chasing status won't fill the void inside her. Until then, I wish her well, from afar. As for me, I'm content. The silence that once felt oppressive now feels liberating. It's taught me to listen, not just to others, but to myself. To honor the life I've built, flaws and all. And to trust that the right person will appreciate it too. Because in the end, love isn't about finding someone who completes you. It's about finding someone who celebrates who you already are. It's been nearly a year since that fateful night, the butt dial, the suitcase on the porch, the silence that followed. Time has a way of smoothing over sharp edges, turning wounds into scars that remind you where you've been but no longer define who you are. My life feels fuller now, richer in ways I never expected. Not because everything is perfect, far from it, but because I've learned to embrace imperfection. To find beauty in the cracks. Sarah and I have grown closer over these months. She visits the workshop often, sometimes just to sit quietly while I work, other times asking questions about the tools or techniques. Her curiosity is genuine, unforced. It reminds me how much joy there is in sharing something you love with someone who truly wants to understand it. Last week, she even picked up a chisel for the first time, tentatively shaping a small block of mahogany under my guidance. When she finished, her hands were covered in sawdust, and her face lit up with pride. "I made this," she said, holding up the rough carving. "It's not pretty, but it's mine." "It doesn't have to be pretty to matter," I replied, smiling. "That's the thing about craftsmanship. It's not about perfection, it's about effort. About putting yourself into what you create." She nodded thoughtfully, brushing wood shavings off her jeans. "You know, I think that's why I like spending time here. It's not just the guitars, it's the mindset. You don't rush things. You take your time, pay attention to details. There's something calming about that." Her words stayed with me long after she left. In many ways, Sarah sees me more clearly than anyone else ever has. She understands that my work isn't just about making instruments, it's about creating space for patience, focus, and authenticity. And maybe, just maybe, that's why our connection feels so natural. We're both learning to slow down, to listen, not just to each other, but to ourselves. Lately, I've been working on a special project. It started as a vague idea, a guitar unlike any I'd built before, but it's slowly taking shape. This one will be for me. Not for sale, not for anyone else. Just mine. The body is crafted from reclaimed redwood, salvaged from an old barn that was torn down outside of town. Its grain tells a story of decades past, of storms weathered, seasons endured, and lives lived beneath its beams. The neck is maple, smooth and sturdy, with an ebony fretboard that gleams like polished stone. But the real centerpiece is the inlay on the headstock, a tiny, intricate design of a forest canopy, etched in silver and surrounded by tiny green filaments of moss agate, the same stone I once used for Rachel's ring. Now, it symbolizes something entirely different: resilience, renewal, and the quiet strength found in staying true to oneself. Every stroke of the chisel, every curve of the sandpaper, brings me closer to completion. And with each step, I feel lighter, as if I'm shedding the weight of old expectations and stepping into a future defined solely by my own terms. Sarah says the guitar looks like a piece of art, but to me, it's more than that. It's a reflection of where I've been and where I'm going. A few weeks ago, I ran into Rachel at the grocery store. It was unexpected, though perhaps inevitable given the size of our small town. She looked different, thinner, paler, her usual confidence replaced by a nervous energy. For a moment, we simply stared at each other across the produce aisle, frozen in time. Then she approached cautiously, clutching a bag of apples like a shield. "Hey, Mark," she said softly. Her voice lacked its former bravado. How are you?" "I'm good," I replied honestly. "Really good, actually." She nodded, glancing at the carton of strawberries in my hand. That's great. I heard you've been seeing someone." "Yeah," I said, keeping my tone neutral. "Her name's Sarah. She's great." Rachel forced a smile, though it didn't reach her eyes. "I'm glad. You deserve someone who appreciates you." There was sincerity in her voice, but also regret. I studied her for a moment, searching for traces of the woman I once loved. She wasn't there anymore. Instead, I saw someone who had finally confronted the emptiness of chasing status over substance. Someone who, perhaps, was beginning to realize the cost of trading authenticity for appearances. "You okay?" I asked gently. She hesitated, then shook her head. "Not really. Things haven't worked out the way I thought they would. Brad, he wasn't interested in anything serious. Turns out, neither was I. I guess I was just trying to prove something, to myself, to everyone else. But all I did was lose sight of what mattered." Her admission caught me off guard. I hadn't expected honesty, let alone vulnerability. But then again, people change, or at least, they try to. "I'm sorry to hear that," I said finally. "But I hope you find what you're looking for. Maybe next time, you'll look in the right places." She gave me a faint smile, tears glistening in her eyes. "Thanks, Mark. For everything. I know I messed up. I wish I could go back and do things differently." "We can't change the past," I said. "But we can learn from it. Build something better moving forward." With that, we parted ways. As I walked away, I felt a sense of closure, not just for her, but for me. Whatever lingering anger or sadness I'd carried had dissolved, leaving only gratitude. Gratitude for the lessons learned, the bridges burned, and the path ahead. Life isn't without its challenges. Some days, the memories creep back in, Rachel's laughter echoing through the phone, the sting of betrayal, the ache of loss. But those moments are fleeting now, overshadowed by the joy of discovery and the promise of new beginnings. Sarah and I don't talk much about the future. We're content to live in the present, exploring what it means to build something together, not just a relationship, but a shared understanding of what truly matters. She's encouraged me to start teaching workshops, sharing my knowledge with others who share my passion for luthiery. It's been rewarding in ways I never anticipated, reminding me that growth often happens when you step outside your comfort zone. As for the guitar I've been working on, it's almost finished. Tonight, I plan to string it up and play my first notes. I imagine they'll sound raw, imperfect, but honest. Like life itself. And as the music fills the workshop, I'll remember the journey that brought me here, the mistakes, the lessons, the people who came and went. Each note will carry a piece of that story, woven into the fabric of something new. Because in the end, life is like a song. It's not about hitting every note perfectly, it's about finding harmony in the spaces between.